All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever been in a conversation and just felt like you were hearing something more than the words being spoken? Well, today we're going to unpack a really fascinating way some minds are wired that explains exactly that. It's a totally different way of processing the world.
So, to kick things off, let's get right to the heart of it. We're talking about two very different ways of listening. One is about just hearing the words, and the other is about understanding the motives that are actually driving those words.
This quote just nails it. It treats listening not as something passive, but as this active process of, decoding what's really going on. It's like there's a whole other conversation happening just under the surface, and some people are just naturally tuned into that frequency. That's the million-dollar question, right? What does that even mean to hear motives? It's not about being a mind reader or anything like that. It's really about picking up on all those little clues, the unspoken stuff, the hidden intentions, the entire vibe of a conversation. So how does that actually work?
Okay, so how does this whole thing become a real practical skill? Let's break down this habit of perceiving what isn't being said. You're going to see it's not really a mystery. It's more like a mental muscle that gets developed.
Picture an iceberg. The part you see sticking out of the water, that's what is said, just the literal words. But the real meaning, the vast majority of it, is all under the surface. That's what isn't said. And that's where you find the really important stuff. The tone of voice, the emotional current, the logic or lack of logic holding it all together.
And here's a key point. This isn't just some vague intuition. It actually has a name: pattern recognition. It's this incredible ability to quickly, almost without thinking, spot recurring patterns in how people communicate and act, all based on your past experiences.
So, what does this pattern recognition look like in the real world? Well, it's about reading between the lines of a quick text. It's sensing that tiny hesitation in someone's voice that tells you they're not so sure. It's that feeling you get when an argument just doesn't add up. You've spotted a gap in the logic. And the fuel for all of this? Emotional intelligence, that ability to tune into your own emotions and the emotions of the people around you. All right, so we've covered the what. Now let's get into the how. What is actually going on in the brain that makes this level of perception possible? This is where we get to the underlying architecture. The key idea here, the big one, is a term called hyperconnectivity. This is the engine that drives this entire process. Think of it like your brain's internal wiring is just set up differently. It's designed to make tons of connections and to do it super fast. So what exactly is hyperconnectivity? It's a multidimensional way of thinking where just one single thought can instantly spark 10 others. This is not your typical A to B thinking. No, it's more like a firework going off in your head, a web of connections where one piece of info immediately branches out into this huge network of ideas, memories, and future possibilities. Let's try and trace this in real time. So first, you hear a statement. Bam. Instantly, the hyperconnected mind links that to similar things you've heard before, past patterns. From there, it starts to infer the emotional subtext, and then it projects forward, kind of seeing where the whole conversation is likely going. And what's crazy is that all of this can happen in less than a second. Okay, now let's bring this all back to you. How can you spot this kind of multi-dimensional thinking in yourself? Because honestly, a lot of people who think this way might not even realize it's a specific thing. They just think it's how everyone's brain works. At the end of the day, it really just boils down to this: a natural gift for connecting the dots. If you're the person who always seems to see the connections, the implications, and the patterns that other people don't pick up on until way later, you might just have a brain that's wired for hyperconnectivity. So, what are the big things to take away from all this? First, and this is important, remember, this is a thinking style, not some rare superpower. Second, it's this really powerful mix of pure logic and emotional intelligence working together. And finally, it's the engine that can power some incredibly deep insights and a much richer understanding of the world. So, I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Think about your conversations over the last few days, at work, with family, with friends. When was the last time you really felt like you heard what wasn't being said?